And we're on in five, four, three, two, one. Welcome to our podcast, Get Real with Gen Z, starring Lauren Kennedy, Chriselle Arias, Brianna Reese, and Deandra Hinkle. Today's topic is on Hispanic not being a race anymore, identities being taken away, and the difference between the key terms Hispanic and Latino. So let's get started. Brianna, would you like to start us off?
I'd love to. So, I think a good place to start off is what is Hispanic and what is Latino? So, that's kind of blurry. We don't really know. I personally have always said I was Hispanic, but apparently I'm not Hispanic because all I have to look up is Hispanic versus Latino, and it says, are you wondering the difference between the terms Hispanic and Latino? While Hispanic usually refers to people with a Spanish language background, Latino is typically used to identify people who hail from Latin America, which is a bit blurry on what that means, because then you look at other places and it says different things. Some say it's certain countries, some say it's different backgrounds. It's very blurry. So I've always personally just said Hispanic, that I'm Hispanic.
And Chriselle, you identify as what, Latino?
Well, yeah, I would consider myself as a Latin American because my father is from Nicaragua. That's in Central America.
Yes.
And my mother's from Mexico. And I say American because I was born in the U.S.
Yeah.
So Latin American.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people from South America, I think, identify themselves as Latin. But as you said, not a lot of people know what to. It's very confusing. Like, there's not like a certain way answer or
definition.
Yeah.
Yeah. I personally, my cultural background is my mother is Mexican. I almost said Hispanic. My mother is Mexican, and my father is Salvadoreñan.
What's that?
El Salvador. So,
okay.
El Salvador, yes. But I was born in America. So I'm from New York, but I've always said I'm Hispanic. So we ran into this not too long ago, but when people are asked, where are you from? We say what, like, state. We don't really say, oh, I'm from Mexico, because I'm not from Mexico. Like,
well, I think that's what a lot of people, when they ask us, I think they expect us to say somewhere from a foreign country.
Yeah, and that's a big part where it comes in, like, prejudice and, like,
ignorance.
Stereotypes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just straight in there, it's like, oh.
I don't think we've gotten into why we don't know why we can't, like, identify ourselves as Latin or Hispanic. Is because the term Hispanic, it only refers to people from Spain and who speak Spanish. And Latino, Latina, or Latinx is people from South America, Central America, and Mexico as well. But I read that some Mexicans use the word Chicano to identify themselves.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure.
What's Chicano? That sounded terrible the way I pronounced it. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
It's just the way, it's like another identity, like Latin.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like another term.
Mm-hmm.
But
again,
that's what the Mexicans use to,
Yeah.
like,
Mm-hmm.
instead of saying, oh, I'm Hispanic or oh, I'm Latin, I'm Chicano.
Chicano.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, like, the difference between Hispanics and Latinos is the country or
Country of origin.
Yeah.
But there's articles that say, the thing is that that is confusing is that they're the same as well. It's like we've only just started learning about this, but we don't know, because some countries in South America refer themselves as Hispanic,
Yeah.
but others are Latinos.
Yeah. And I think the reason we've only recently tried to, like, understand our identity is because that identity was stripped away from us.
Yeah, for sure.
Because not sure how many people have noticed, because I doubt either of you check Hispanic boxes. as you
when you're doing a
previous-
test or something, or
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
trying to
So Chriselle and I do, or Latino. So I just last month I was filling out a form and I had to choose
other.
other, but there also I had to choose other on some documents, and on another I couldn't choose other. There was no other.
Yeah, there's no.
There was black, white, and indigenous and stuff like that, but there was no Hispanic. And I was like, that's really odd. And I was like, I don't know what to choose because I don't identify with these.
Mhm.
That's not who I am. So I scrolled down and said ethnicity, and then there's Hispanic and Latino.
Yeah, and from my research, like the line between race and ethnicity, in simple terms, race is like physical traits and how you appear to other people, while dang, that's a hard word.
Ethnicity.
Yup, that refers, cultural identification. So it's like me being black. What's my ethnicity? Like I don't know. In all
Yeah.
honesty, you have to be
Well-
like, it has to be a culture
Yeah.
of some sort. And I feel like Hispanics and all that, I don't think it's a culture in my book. I feel like it's a race.
It's a
you can
race.
identify and you can look Hispanic or you
Yeah,
can look Latina.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I'm not Hispanic.
Yeah. and
I look at myself and I don't think, oh, I'm white. No, I don't think that because, for one, I don't get those benefits.
yeah.
I don't get the benefits of being white because people do see me as Hispanic.
Yeah, and
S-
it could just be like who the person is looking like, in
Yes.
the eye of the beholder. Because to some people, not to me, but you can look white past
Oh,
it
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
compared to Kershell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's
Some
like
people
a
couldn't
whole
know
spectrum.
you. People could not know you and think you'd white.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have friends who are lighter skinned than me, and they're from Nicaragua,
Mhm.
and most people think that they're white, and they're not. They're not white. They're Hispanic, so they're very
See,
vocal.
when you think of Mexicans, what do you think of? Like, how do you think they look? To be honest, not like really.
like we're not gonna get offended
Yeah, like
in the slightest. Will
Light
us
skin,
Hispanics?
kinda. Like light skin,
Mm,
kinda.
You do?
Really interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna say fair skin
But-
tone, like a little bit lighter than
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
Oh, most people
Uh,
think like dark,
No.
strong people.
Oh, girl, I feel like that's what they think about me in my culture. They be like, oh,
No, no,
yeah,
something.
but yeah.
Something I
well,
just wanna
this goes with stereotypes. I think
Yes,
that's
for
going to be
sure.
our
Yes,
next
definitely.
topic in a little bit right now.
Mhm.
But I know a lot of people think as Mexicans like short, chubby,
Yeah.
black hair, and
Serapes. Wearing serapes,
Yeah, you know-
wearing hats.
yeah,
Oh,
So-
sombreros?
Sombreros.
yes.
Yeah.
No, but I don't like how they as
See this.
you see how Brianna's you're part Mexican, right?
Yes.
I guess she's Mexican, right?
I'm
Mhm.
Mexican.
But you see, we're both Mexican, but you see our different like skin colors. We're
Yeah.
not when
we're not the same.
we're
We don't
not
look
the same, and we don't look the same. Some people they're from the same place, but they have different skin colors. It's
Exactly.
the same with in South America. There's Afro Latinas, which have a darker skin color, and I think would that be when filling out a paper? What would they fill? Like, would that go with? They would have to fill like Latin, right?
They would have to fill Latin, or if they would have to fill other and then specify Afro.
Latina.
Yeah.
See, this is where it
This is
all
where it
comes
gets blurry.
confusing.
Yeah, the lines are blurred.
Yeah.
And
And
it's-
one thing I do want to mention is, I'm pretty sure it's the same with Chriselle, but Hispanics, or Latinos, we enjoy making fun of the stereotypes.
Mhm.
We enjoy bringing them up and being like, "Hey, yo, that's me," because I have a brother. He's obviously Hispanic too. He has friends who said something along the lines of like losing their job to a Hispanic, not in a rude way, just like a general fact.
yeah.
And my brother was like, "Hey, that's what we do," because it's a joke. Like most people here, they believe that Hispanics take the jobs.
Oh, that's what I wanted to talk
Yes,
about
of
next
course.
too.
Yeah. So we like making jokes. So
Yeah.
don't feel free to say what you want, within reason, of course, but we won't get offended because we understand that it's a blurry line.
Well,
Well, no,
there's-
but we want to know your opinions.
Yeah,
we want to know
for
what
sure.
you guys see because, well, we don't understand what you guys think.
Yeah, and I feel like there's such a broad range when it comes to literally any race. Not everybody's gonna look the
Definitely.
same coming out. You know, it's crazy that you guys are both a part of the same culture, but you can't identify as such.
Yes.
Identify as something different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
We
for
have-
sure.
For race, we have to mark other. Or, I don't know what Chriselle marks, but I normally, I struggle on it.
Yeah. What do you mark, Chriselle?
Well, yeah, when I go to the doctors or appointments or anything that has to do with filling out papers, it does ask me for my race or sometimes ethnicity. So it only sometimes says Hispanic, and I always since I always fill that out because that's like the closest I can identify with.
Yeah.
And that's what I grew up hearing, that I was Hispanic.
Yes.
And I have no other choice unless there is an other, like a box that says other.
Yeah.
But it is very confusing, and I don't know if it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's very demeaning to have to check other.
Yeah.
Because it's like we don't exist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I just feel like there should be like a line, you know, that says, I mean, not a line, an actual line on the paper, but, you know, like a line that's drawn metaphorically to where we, either all papers have Hispanics under the race category or they have them under the ethnicity category, which I don't agree with. I feel like they should be a race. But, and then I was reading, and in my race age, I've heard this a lot, like, is it heard like Dominicans are considered like the black people of Hispanics or something like that?
People typically think that Dominicans are like the black of the Hispanics or like the darker skin
Mhm.
because typically they do have darker skin.
Mm.
But that's not the same with everyone. So they like to say that. But
Yeah.
we're obviously we identify as either Hispanic or Latino, something along those lines. And it's very odd.
It's very confusing.
It's very confusing.
Yeah.
It's gotten very blurry over the years.
Yeah, it's super blurry.
Even as a Hispanic and Chriselle as a Latino, we don't really understand fully.
Mm-hmm.
So for now, I guess we're just gonna mark Hispanic.
How long
Yeah.
has the box disappeared for?
For me, it only disappeared for a year now. Because I only recently started filling out more formal forms. For school, it was always there. But my brother, who is an adult, he has had to mark other for longer than me.
Mm-hmm.
Because for job applications and things like that. He's
Yeah.
had to mark other in governmental papers. Government papers don't have it either.
Oh wow.
Yes. Some do. The census kind of does.
You would
Mhm.
think the government would have it.
Yeah.
Well, I was
Girl,
reading
who would
over
think the government will have everything.
Yeah.
Government's not
Racist.
working.
I was reading over like the census and like articles.
Yeah.
They were saying that a lot of people were marking white. Well, people like Mexicans were marking white
Mm-hmm.
in the boxes because they didn't have another choice.
Yeah, I've read that like 80% of Cubans are more likely to claim white
Yeah.
than claim like the ethnicity or anything in the ethnicity
We have
category.
to. When I was filling out that form, I was so confused and like I just didn't understand. So I just stared at it for a while and I was
Mhm.
like, I don't identify as white.
Yeah.
I identify as Hispanic. So what do I mark? So then I just completely like put away the paper. I was like, I'll think about that later.
Yeah.
And then I ended up not even applying because I was just not happy with it.
Yeah.
And not only because I wasn't happy with it, I decided against it.
Yeah, and
Ultimately.
And ethnicity is something that you learn. You don't
Mhm.
really learn to be Hispanic. I feel. I don't want to speak for you guys. Let me know if I'm wrong.
No, you're
but
fine.
I feel like you don't learn to be Hispanic the same way I don't learn
It's
to
a
be
race.
black.
It's a race.
Exactly,
It shouldn't
it's a
be
race.
ethnicity.
It's something that you inherit.
Yes.
It's not like, okay, put on your sombrero
It's
today.
it's like white and black.
Exactly.
It's a race. It's not an ethnicity.
Exactly. Not
Yeah.
telling me to eat my fried chicken daily. Like that's not something like that I learn.
Yeah.
So what would be the difference between race and ethnicity? With like, for race, do you think it should be just like on the paper, like black, white,
It
and
should be all types.
like
Anything that
in
inherits.
Native American? Would it be
Indigenous.
on the paper for race? Would it be Hispanic or Latino?
It could be both.
It should be both.
Hispanic slash.
Often they put Hispanic slash Latino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be better if it was separate boxes, because some people, well,
Do
personally,
you? Go ahead.
No, personally, I mark Hispanic slash Latino because
Mhm.
once again, the line is very blurry. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Do people get offended, like if you call somebody Hispanic?
I
instead
don't
of
think so.
Latino?
I think everybody knows that they're Hispanic.
Yeah, I personally, I don't mind going as either because I don't understand, but there might be some people that do get offended because it's their background. They don't want to be seen, just as I don't want to be seen or be told that I'm white when I'm not. I'm sure they don't want to be told they're Hispanic if they're not Hispanic.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to do with just like the term, but there's also a lot to do with why Hispanics are discriminated against, what's going on, what's happened over the years, more recently, because it's happened for years where Hispanics were pushed into more slavery positions, where we were told we had to. You often think of construction. I feel like people
Yeah.
think Hispanics construction,
The wall, all that.
the
type
wall,
of stuff, yeah.
all those things. So we were pushed into more labor work.
Mhm.
And another thing I think I want to touch on briefly before we get too into it is papers. People look at us and they think we don't have papers. And a whole thing with the last president, I witnessed on the side of the road, there was a line of police cars and a line of other vehicles. And if you looked Hispanic, you were pulled over. And you were spoken to by the police in big, bold letters that said ICE.
Yeah.
So we were, thankfully, we were not pulled over because we were on the other side of the highway.
Mhm.
So we weren't pulled over. But I'm sure they were doing that just to get people. Just to be like, do you have papers? Oh, you don't? Wonderful, come with us.
Yeah, for sure.
It was a choice. Like, they didn't need to pull over everyone, but they did. And if you're Hispanic, they assume you are not from here, or they assume you are not a citizen.
Yeah, and that's where you hear things like, "Go back to your country," and
We
all
heard
those
that.
different stuff.
I've been told, go back to your country, and I'm like, I was born here.
Yeah.
Where do I go? I don't know where to go.
Right.
And my parents definitely have been told that too,
Mhm.
but they're U.S. citizens. They've been here a majority of their life, because I know my mom came here when she was 18.
Mhm.
My dad even younger. He started high school here. And they became citizens. They're
Yeah.
citizens. Luckily, my family was fortunate enough to be able to go to school for as long as they could. Because most Hispanics aren't able to finish school when they
Mhm.
do come here. I'm not sure how it is with Christelle's family, but my mother graduated high school. My father, unfortunately, wasn't as fortunate, and he
Mhm.
was not able to. But he made a career, and he's doing well for himself. And he has papers, but he's still told, oh, you don't have papers. And he's like, I think I know if I have papers.
Yeah.
I think I'd know. So I'm not sure how it is with you,
Yeah,
Christelle.
same with my dad came here. Oh, well, from Nicaragua, he came here to Miami,
Mhm.
and he went to school there in Hialeah. I don't know, somewhere there. But he did graduate high school, and my mom did. She moved from Mexico to California with her sister, and then she came over here, and then they met, and yeah, so I'm here.
Yeah.
But I'm really thankful for them.
Definitely.
They have like done a lot for me and my sister,
Yeah.
and I'm very thankful for them.
Yeah, and it's so hard for different people that are coming into America. First of all, don't come, but for who are looking for different opportunities and stuff, it's so hard for them to come here and find and get citizenship and make a life for themselves, especially being a person of a minority.
Yeah, and we were separated from our family. My
Yeah.
mom, her family's back in Mexico. My dad, most, because they came as a family, most
Yeah.
of them are here. They're in the U.S., but there are obviously some who are still in El Salvador.
Yeah.
But I have huge respect for my parents for the sacrifices they made to come here
Mhm.
just to give us a better life. And they wanted a better life for themselves, too, so they picked up and left. And they decided they were going to work for it. And they
And it's
worked
a
super hard.
huge risk. To
It's a
Yeah.
huge risk because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because you could be sent back straight away, and then you
Mhm.
can not be allowed back in the country, because that happens a lot. You're
Yeah.
sent away and you're not allowed back.
Yeah. And then the amount of kids that are separated from their families at the border,
Oh,
kids
yeah.
in cages.
Yeah,
It's-
it's terrible.
It's sad. It's ridiculous.
They're camps. It's terrible isolation camps where
Mhm.
you're separated from your family. They're not good living conditions.
At all.
Yeah, so I have huge respect for my parents and everything that they did, because
Yeah.
they had to learn a whole new language, a whole new culture,
Mhm.
a whole new everything.
Yeah. Shouts out to y'all parents.
Yes.
Real OGs. Real OGs.
Yes.
I mean, I just feel like we all have had our own experiences
Definitely.
of racism. I got a couple stories. I'll just share one for you.
Okay.
I remember being like 12, 11, something like that, like in middle school, just got middle school, start doing makeup. I thought I was good. My makeup was bad, y'all. But I would go into Sephora all the time, and there was this white lady with like one of those Justin Bieber cuts. I don't know, it was cool.
Oh my god.
But she,
Karen.
yeah, I think it was a Karen, but she worked there, and she kept asking me like, "Oh, do you need help?" Like at first, no, I'm good. I don't even have enough money to buy the stuff in the store anyways. I'm 10. Like, come on. And so she kept following me around, like the whole store and watching over me. And it was like, okay, ma'am, like, like a little microaggression. Nothing's bad with that. But is it to the point where you kick me out of the store?
She kicked you out.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I don't know.
And often they push it off as, you didn't buy anything.
Yeah.
But it's like, I was browsing.
Yeah, I can browse
I was gonna
something.
buy it in the future.
Exactly.
Saving up. I'm looking at the prices. Give me some time.
Mental picture, like, I don't know. I mean, I've had people get on top of me and, like, take out my hair. Like, I've had my hair in slick backs, and they would lift up my edges and crazy stuff like that. So, I mean, it's something real, and I just hope that, any kid that was my age or anything younger than that doesn't have to go through the same prejudice or all that stuff like I did,
Of course. Yeah, it's terrible.
And that's just, like, the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, yeah.
Like videos of that little boy. It was like a black boy at a sleepover with some white friends, and they like peed on him and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
So he felt included, and like the parents of the white kids supported that,
That's terrible.
and they thought it was cute. Like it's
Cute.
ridiculous. Exactly.
Cute.
So
sure.
that you're already on the outside, and you make all these sacrifices just to try to fit in, which is ridiculous. Don't try to fit in, guys, at all.
Be yourself.
Exactly.
Yourself, yes.
But like you're trying all this stuff to fit in just for them to crap on you once again. It's crazy.
Yeah. What about you, Chriselle? Any experiences?
Well, I was gonna say I've never had like personally attacked,
Mm.
but when you did mention like the lady following you around the store, I never thought that would be like racist. But now that I think about it, now that you mention it, I had like a couple of incidents where me and my mom and my sister would go in a store, and they would always be asking, "Are you doing okay? Is everything fine?" Every like 5 seconds, and they would just be following us around. Like, oh my god.
Girl, give me a break. Like, let me
Yeah.
shop, okay?
Same.
No, and
Happens to
before
me.
I used to not like to speak Spanish like in public
Mhm.
because I was like, oh, I want them to think that I'm not,
American.
No,
I don't know English.
I want them to know that I just don't speak Spanish. I don't know. I was little and I just grew up like thinking that way.
Yeah.
Just
But
internalized.
I've learned as I matured that I like speaking, like I like knowing that I like letting other people know that I speak another language and like where I'm from.
And I feel like a lot of times, like, we all try to stay and stick with the mindset of, like, trying to match European beauty standards.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, you don't have to, like, go ahead and speak your Spanish. Go ahead and wear your hair curly. Like, the amount of heat damage I've had from trying to flat iron my curls when I was little is ridiculous, trying to match little white girls at school. Like, trying to have that thigh gap back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I remember how embarrassed I was of my hair because I saw all these people with straight hair and I was like, I don't like my puffy hair.
You know, I've always wanted curly hair, and I never could have it.
Mm. I always wanted straight hair.
What
See,
was
I
I
think
never
that's
had
the
it.
opposite for
Yeah,
everybody.
everybody
Oh, yeah,
wants
it's
what they
definitely
don't
opposite.
have. Like, it's
What was y'all's first language y'all learned?
Spanish.
Both. I can't
Oh,
say
actually,
what my
we-
first language was.
I did. I grew up speaking Spanish. So my first language was Spanish. I spoke for about like only Spanish for like 4 to 5 years, and then I started soccer practice. So I didn't know what the other people were saying. So I did start learning English.
Was it hard to learn English?
What? I don't remember, but I do know. I know around that age, and then that's when I started preschool as well. So I did learn English from there too.
Yeah.
And then since I started learning English, my mom was like a volunteer there at the preschool, so she started taking CPCC classes as well,
Yeah.
learning English.
For me, I grew up learning both because my parents, they actually met at an English class.
oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that's so cute.
Everyone says that. They're like, oh, that's adorable. Yeah, they met at an English class. My dad fell in love with her and he trailed around her and they became best friends.
Oh my gosh.
It was cute. It's very cute.
That's adorable.
Yeah, no, I learned both because my parents were learning English alongside us.
Mm-hmm.
But they already knew like a good amount. They're fluent now. They struggle, of course.
Yeah.
Because it's not their first language, but they can hold really good conversations, and it's almost as if they've known it for years and years and years. And obviously they've known it for years.
Yeah.
But no, I grew up learning both, so I don't remember which is my first language, but I'm assuming I probably started speaking Spanish first.
Yeah.
That's good you speak both, though, because it'd be hard to understand things living in America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all need to do my Spanish test.
And
That's
after
what-
this.
And the thing is, when you're younger, you learn easily. In my opinion,
You learn.
Like at a younger age.
it's easier.
Like to retain?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because right now I'm learning Spanish and it's difficult.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to like.
There's a lot of little kids that you see on TV that know multiple language
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all
languages. Sorry.
Y'all
Yeah.
really need to do my Spanish test.
See, if I was to learn Spanish when I was younger, I'd probably know it now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
Yeah, even classes in school, I was put into SEL. I knew fluent English. I was put into SEL because
Mhm.
they believed I didn't know English, all
Wow.
because of my last name.
What?
They
What's
look
your
at my
last
last Ruiz, but it's pronounced Ruiz. So we
Mm.
obviously said it like that, but Ruiz is a Hispanic name.
Yeah. And
So-
like,
But they shouldn't judge you just because
They
your
should
last
not.
name.
yeah, my mom always tells me that she names her children like more white. Like,
Names.
you know, when you look at a paper for a job application, you wouldn't be able to
Oh,
tell
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
that Lauren Kennedy is a black girl, you know?
Yeah. No,
People
I-
always say my name's for black people. I'd always get said that.
Yeah, and it's like, I didn't know
Always.
names had
a
races.
name has race? Cool.
Exactly, right.
Interesting.
Crazy, crazy.
People would always say that to me. People say your name's more for black people.
Yeah. But names don't have race. But yeah, no. My brother
Names
was
can be
put
for
in-
anybody.
Yeah.
Exactly.
My brother was put into SEL. SEL. I was put into it, and I was in lower classes. As soon as I got out of those lower classes, because I quote unquote graduated, I immediately got put into like the higher classes,
Mhm.
and like not even just average classes. I was put into like the apparently like higher course.
Oh, like in elementary when they took you to
Yes.
the other room? I know what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, do you have any like personal experiences with racism, discrimination, all that?
Yes. I'll start off with the one story that like sticks out to me because I've had people follow me around in stores and constantly say, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I've had that. But what sucks is it was in 4th grade, and it was a classmate. So it wasn't even like someone I didn't know. It was someone I was friends with. And it was just in the beginning of Trump running for president, and it was looking like he was winning. So she said to me, she was like, "Oh, it sucks that you're going to have to leave." And I was like, "What?" She's
Please
like,
tell me you beat her butt.
I didn't realize it was racist.
Oh, you're in 4th grade.
Give me her name after this.
She was like, "It sucks that you're going to have to leave." I was like, "What?"
Just because of Donald Trump is building a wall.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, can I ask, what was her, like...
What was her? Yes. Yeah, race.
She was black. Yeah. But she was...
I apologize on behalf of all black
No,
people.
it is fine. She just spoke her mind a lot.
In
She
4th
didn't
grade?
she
In
didn't
4th
understand
grade?
boundaries.
Yeah.
But I'm sure she's grown up. I don't know her anymore. But I'm hopeful she grew up and understood more.
Yeah.
But no, she told me, "Oh, it sucks you're going to have to leave." I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Well, if Trump wins, you're like, he's going to kick out like all Hispanics." I was like, "That's not what that means." I was young, but I understood. And I was like, "That's not what that means." And
Yeah.
And in my head, I started getting scared
Mhm.
because she put that fear into me, thinking I wasn't safe. And I already had that fear, but she increased it. And I was
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna what? I'm gonna
Yeah.
leave my home because this is my home now.
Mhm.
Obviously, I consider Mexico and El Salvador my homes, but I'd have to leave where I grew up,
Yeah.
my friends, everything, and pretty much everyone in my school was Hispanic.
Yeah.
Barely, we were very like quote unquote diverse.
Yeah.
But I got so confused. I was like, I went home and I told my parents, and my mom was like, "What? She said that?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "That's funny." I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "We're not leaving." I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "We have papers. You know this." I was like, "I know, but I'm so confused." She's
Yeah.
like, "Don't worry about it. It's not something that you have to worry about."
Mhm.
And I was like, "Okay." And I left it alone. But I kept that with me, and I kept learning. And I was like, in my head, I was like, she's my friend. Of course it wasn't racist.
Yeah.
Of course it wasn't mean.
You wouldn't think a 4th grader would say that.
I know, yeah.
So young.
Yeah.
Well, I also think if how she got that idea in her head, I wonder if it was because of her parents or
Because
you know
of Trump.
Or other people around her.
hearing
Yeah.
hearing
Definitely.
what other people are saying.
Yeah, that's just to show how impressionable young kids
Yes.
are.
Very impressionable. Because
Yeah.
I'm sure she did not understand what she was saying.
Exactly. She's saying something that she heard before.
It's like repeated.
It did not
Yes.
come from her. She probably did not know
Yeah,
the.
She heard it from
gratitude of
somebody
that.
else.
definitely. Yeah.
And
And
she
then-
repeated it.
And that's how prejudice and discrimination, all that starts. With that little seed that you plant in that child's mind.
Mhm.
And as it grows, it gets bigger and bigger. And as parents, they continue to water that plant.
Mhm.
And they're so young, so they think it's true.
Right.
Yeah,
Next
because
thing
it's
you
their
know-
parents. Why would my parents lie to me? Why would
Exactly.
adults lie to me?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you got a big old racist tree. You know?
Yeah, but I also asked my mom because we've been very open about talking about it. I remember literally, I think not like a few months ago, we were in a drive-thru and my mom has a pretty heavy accent
Mhm.
because she lived in New York for most of her life, being in the United States. So she has like a New York accent on top of her Hispanic accent.
Ooh, that's
So-
thick.
Yes. But you can understand her. I've always been able to understand her, and most people can. So we were at a drive-thru, and she began ordering, and she messed up. She accidentally mispronounced something, but it was because it was a dumb, like, fast food chain name.
Yeah.
So she messed up, and I, like, corrected her, like, politely. I, like, quietly said, "No, it's this." And I told her, like, just to order, like, with numbers,
Mhm.
because that's just always what we've done.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, okay." And she corrected herself. But before she could, we heard the woman on the other end start laughing. And I like, looked at my mom, and my mom, like, it seemed to hurt her, but she also, I think she's experienced it so much that it didn't bother her as much as it used to. So she just sat there waiting for the woman to stop laughing so then she could proceed to order. And I was upset that, like, when I got home, I started making jokes to my brother. I was like, "So, we gotta go beat someone up real quick." He's like, "You ready?" And he was like, what happened? I was like, oh, someone made fun of Mom's accent. And he was like, all right, let's go. We gotta go.
Yeah.
So well, obviously we didn't. And we even considered complaining, but I was like, it's not going to change anything.
Yeah.
So,
That happens to everybody. People don't even have to have their accent.
yeah. But it was also because she, like,
Yeah, I understand.
yeah, my mom sometimes also, like, replaces English words with Spanish words.
Mhm.
She doesn't mean to. It just kind of happens. But
Yeah.
everyone has always understood that.
Mhm.
And they've understood what she means. So
Mhm.
it was just her being rude. And even she told me she was a teenager. She was 18. She was ordering at a restaurant, and some guy who was younger than her by like a few years. She was still just learning English because she had just moved to the United States, and he was saying, like, he started laughing at her saying, "You don't know English." And she said, "At least I'm trying."
Yeah.
He was like, "I'm trying to learn this second language. I understand you, and I can talk to you. So obviously I know English."
Yeah.
She's like, "At least I know 2 languages, and you're stuck learning only one." And she's like,
as she said,
Yeah.
I'm bilingual.
Yeah.
And what about it?
yeah. So, and then the guy was like, "Oh, okay." And like,
Yeah.
backed
Now he
away.
stays quiet.
Then he was quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's things like that.
Mhm. And
So, yeah.
this kind of has a little bit to do with stuff, but I mean, like, I obviously don't experience as much prejudice and discrimination as other black people who are darker than me. You know, colorism does, help me, sadly,
Definitely, yeah.
And for people who don't know what colorism is, it just, with black people, the people who have fair skin tone, like myself, who resemble closer to white or any other race, get more opportunities and are more likely to even get jobs.
Yeah.
Compared to people who are darker with different skin tones than
Yeah.
mine.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, when I get pulled over and stuff, not when I'm driving, I don't drive, but when I'm in the car, with my family and we get pulled over, which literally happened like a couple days ago, like, the fear that goes through my mind, like, immediately, I
Yeah.
go to the worst thing, especially because my brother, he's a dark-skinned black male. Like, when I'm in the car with him, like, worst things go through my mind.
Yeah.
Especially, like, I've been asked to step out the car before
Mm-hmm.
and all that stuff. And so I just, it's terrible
Oh, yeah.
to just automatically think of the worst and just, I don't know. It's just a hard situation to be in.
Definitely. Yeah. My family has been pulled over too much, but the times that, like, we've been, like, stopped and asked about papers, it was terrifying.
Yeah,
Even though I knew we were fine, it's terrifying.
exactly. And we should not have to fear policing
Mm-hmm.
and ICE and all that. We should not be able to fear our government. If anything, they're there to protect us.
Yeah. Definitely.
So,
Chriselle, go ahead. Your experience.
Yeah,
You wanna
last
talk
story.
about?
Well, my family has never been pulled over, so I can't relate to any of that. But what I was gonna say, like I said earlier, I've never experienced that much, like, racist things, like, right in front of me. The only thing is, every time, because my family goes to the mountains a lot, into, like, Tennessee, so every time we would go to restaurants, the first thing, we would walk through the door, and the first thing everyone did, turn their heads towards us.
Yeah, definitely.
And they don't say anything, but it's just that feeling that they're just looking at you.
yeah.
And when I thought I was doing something wrong, but as I matured and grown, I realized that if I'm not hurting no one or I'm not causing problems, there's no reason to be afraid to
Right.
go out.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
But yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Mhm. And, like, I am always terrified. Like, let's say if somebody gets my order wrong at a restaurant, I never want to take that stereotype as the
Mhm.
angry black woman,
Oh, yeah.
who's always yelling, screaming, ghetto, da-da-da. Don't even get me started on how they bring down black women and how,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Oh, my
but
gosh.
it's just so hard. People of color are already put at a disadvantage,
Mhm.
and then the negative stereotypes on top of that, it's just not, the cards aren't even dealt wrong.
Yeah.
We didn't even have a hand to begin with.
And then us being all being females. Add
Yeah.
that on top of the mix.
Exactly. Females. Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It's a lot of instilled prejudice in the world.
for sure, for sure.
Well, to
okay.
change the topic, do you have any stereotypes or like of?
Yeah. Go ahead, DeAndrea.
Oh,
I don't know if it fits in, but I know people like someone could be standing on the side of the street, and they could be either Mexican, Latina, and Hispanic, or whatever. And some people would say they're just Mexican and
Mm-hmm.
put them in that category, not even know what they are.
Yeah, no, definitely. People assume that all Hispanics are Mexican.
Yep.
We are not.
like do you not realize that there's other countries that speak Spanish
Yeah,
that look the
Mexico's not even
same?
that big. We can't all be from Mexico.
So that goes to, do you see any stereotypes when you think of like Mexican people or Latin or Hispanic?
People assume that all Hispanics work in construction. They,
I agree. I agree.
yeah, people assume that. They assume we don't have papers. Assume we don't know English. So many things just having to do with not being from here.
Yeah.
So we're given lesser opportunities, and
People who hear y'all speaking Spanish, and then they'll say, "Go back to your country."
yeah, speaking
That's
Spanish.
the biggest thing I hear.
Yeah, speaking Spanish in public is difficult. And we do it not even to like,
Not even knowing though.
Yeah.
It's like your basic.
it's just our language. So sometimes we just start speaking Spanish. We don't realize, or like,
No, I speak.
Y'all know the language for a reason. You should
Mhm.
use it.
yeah, definitely.
I try. Well, since I speak Spanglish. Not
Yes.
in public.
Mm-hmm. No,
Everywhere.
me too. Oh yeah, no, me too. I swap back and forth. I'm
No,
like,
I just 1 second I'll be talking English and then
oh yeah, no, me too.
the other second I was
Definitely.
I want to learn Spanish. So I know 2 languages, so I can understand people what they're saying. Because
Yeah.
like, I'd get made fun of, and they'd speak in Spanish, and I wouldn't understand their saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sadly that is the case with languages. Sometimes people use it
Yeah.
to hide what they're saying. And as you mentioned, I am lighter skinned than some Hispanics. So I have been thought of as white, and I hear people talking about me. They're like speaking Spanish, or they're talking about like my family, and they assume I don't know Spanish.
Yeah.
Because some Hispanic kids don't know Spanish, which is fine. It's something that not all parents teach.
that they should.
It's definitely something that's a part of the culture and should be taught, but
Yeah.
not all parents do.
And then
But like I've heard people say like, oh, I was about to say in Spanish. As you see, my brain just clicked.
Say it in Spanish.
Yeah.
Say it in Spanish.
Oh, mira esa niña como está ahí parándose, or like,
just put captions. You know.
oh, look at that girl, how she's just standing there and like, I don't know, just carrying on, being like, making fun of me or making fun of other people around us.
Yeah, for sure. I just feel like within my race, or no, for all majority of people of color, a lot of the stereotypes that go with us, it's very negative.
Yes.
They tend to be on the negative side a lot. And I know we're going to talk a little bit more about this in the 3rd episode when we talk about Asian hate and Asian discrimination, but they are a model minority.
They are, yes. That's what they're
So-
seen as.
And so a lot of their stereotypes are positive, even though stereotypes aren't a good thing. I'd rather somebody tell me that I was good in math than tell me to go eat some watermelon. So,
Yeah, but it obviously, we're going to talk about it more in the 3rd episode,
Yeah.
but it ricochets and it
Yeah.
causes harm.
even then, the unemployment rate hasn't changed. So it's
Yeah.
not like Hispanics or Latinas or anything like that are going out to take anybody's jobs, because
Just working.
people are still unemployed
Yeah,
regardless, the same amount.
yeah. And most people do come here on work visas. And
Exactly.
if they don't work enough, they are sent back. And even just the whole visa thing and getting papers, that is a long, arduous process that takes so long and depends on like the 1%.
Mhm.
It's difficult. So they think that Hispanics are stealing the jobs when really they worked very hard to even get to America. And they're working because if they don't, they're sent back.
Yeah.
about what I mentioned about like Hispanics being like sent back to their country.
Mm-hmm.
Many Hispanics are deported, as I mentioned.
Yeah.
But like families are separated. It became a huge thing because DACA was taken away, and then
What's that?
it's a thing that benefits Hispanics.
Mm-hmm.
It's
called DECA.
DACA.
Like an acronym.
DACA is like the Dreamers, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals.
Mm-hmm.
It's a United States immigration policy that allows some individuals with unlawful presence in the United States after being brought to the country as children to receive a renewable 2-year period of deferred action from deportation to become eligible for a work permit. So it benefits people that are brought here at like young ages that they aren't deported, and they have a chance to prove that they're gonna be here and they're gonna benefit
Yeah.
the United States.
Who took DECA away? Do you know?
Trump.
I could have guessed. Yeah. I
Yeah.
could have guessed.
It was brought back, which is very great.
Hallelujah.
Yes. It was brought back. But I was speaking to my mom about this, but it's still, no matter how much we want everyone to be accepted and for the whole process to be easier, it does affect the U.S., which is why it's such a huge thing that's looked at. Because it overpopulation is a huge thing, unemployment is a huge thing,
Yeah.
and it just overall it can look bad for the United States, but it allows people to have a chance to prove that they want a better life for themselves.
Exactly. And everybody deserves a chance.
Yes.
Please, no matter race, gender, sexuality, all that. Everyone
Anything.
deserves a chance to prove themselves.
Disabilities too.
Exactly.
Yes. All of that.
Well, I think this concludes our second episode. I think we really got in depth into how we feel
Yes.
Yeah.
about everything.
Mhm.
I think this was like a very deep, like, episode.
Probably one
Yeah.
of the deepest ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We really took a deep dive in how the difference between Hispanic and ethnicity, Hispanic versus Latino, the different races and discrimination
Yeah.
and stuff. We shared a couple
Stereotypes.
stories.
Stereotypes.
Yeah, stereotypes. It was a good time. Good time.
It's a great conversation.
This concludes our podcast. Stay tuned for our next one because we're going to be having a special guest and we're going to be talking about Asian hate in the Asian community. So stay tuned for that. And thank you for tuning in tonight with Get Real with Gen Z.
Yeah, yeah.
Until next time, adios.
Bye.